Hi guys, so first of all, apologies for the late video. I know I haven't made a video in like 2.5 weeks and it feels like a really long time because I've been very good about making like regular videos. I haven't been feeling like my 100% and I don't want to make videos when I'm feeling down or when I'm feeling not up to it, because making videos is a very happy process for me. I love doing it. Recently, it's been getting to a point where it's more of like stress. I've also been feeling really shitty for like a multitude of other reasons. It's just like small things that keep adding up, and I don't know if I really want to rant about them right now because this is not the video I want to make. This video in particular is gonna be the first of a series of like self-care and like talking about things that I feel like no one else wants to talk about, because I'm like that extra girl, right, that talks about stuff that no one else wants to talk about. So yeah, I just wanted to get this out in the open and hopefully you guys will find it helpful, because I have been struggling with like anxiety and like depression. I know you guys can't tell, that's also because I'm coping so well. I have struggled with like depression and anxiety my whole life. Like I cannot remember a time where I didn't, but because of how long this has been going on, I've had to like bring myself out of that whole like I'm a victim, I'm sad zone, and actually come up with a proper contingency plan and like a system of how to minimize my days of like being depressed and anxious and sad and angry and frustrated and all these things. I feel like it helps. I feel like I am doing better than ever. This might sound really ridiculous, but you know what I mean when like some days you just can't control your brain, you just can't control how it thinks. It's not just a matter of stop thinking about it, because some days you really just can't. And so yeah, this is like my system on how I flush it out. Also, disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I'm not certified in any way. This is just how I cope. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by a lot of these problems and to feel like you cannot fight against everything. So in order to win this war, you need to like pick out your battles, okay? The first step to this contingency plan is the most important. I feel like it's the most important. You have to acknowledge your pain and recognize and pinpoint specifically where you are most upset, to acknowledge the sources of your pain. So the first thing I like to do is to either get a piece of paper out, you can type it out, you can even have like a mental mind map, but I actually suggest like having it out on a piece of paper, so then it seems a lot less significant than how your mind makes it, because just be aware that your mind tends to amplify things. I mean, my mind tends to, I don't know about your mind, but my mind tends to amplify problems and make them seem really unsolvable because I just keep thinking about them. And also when you overthink, it just gets worse in your head, even if it's not as bad. I like to split them up into 3 different categories because I think it's easy, it covers all bases. But my first one is body, the second one is environment, the third one is relationships. Your pain and your anger and your feelings don't just come from inside of you. There are times when it does come inside of you, but most of the time it comes from these outside stresses, right? So the first one is body. Are you upset with your weight? Are you upset because you have an injury and you can't do what you like anymore? Do you feel uncomfortable in your own skin? Like, do you identify with your gender? There can be a ton of reasons why you're upset with your body, and don't ever think that it's superficial. Don't ever invalidate your feelings and think like, oh, why am I so like disappointed or like upset about this stupid little thing? Like, oh, just because I gained like 5 kg then I'm like so upset, blah. If you feel like it stresses you out and it makes you feel bad, then write it down, because then it's a valid source of your pain. The second one is a big one for me. It could be a big one for a lot of other people too. So it's your environment, school, work, home, your physical space, like where you have to go, even your commute. For me, public transport is a huge stressor, and I'm gonna get into this in another video, okay, if y'all want it. Are you upset because you're studying something you don't want to be studying, that you feel like is worthless, it's a waste of time? Is your room messy? Is your room stinky? Is your room not what you want at all? Like, is it not your aesthetic? Do you feel like you have a lack of privacy in your own room, in your own home? Do you feel like you don't belong? Do you feel like you're in the wrong place? Even small things like having like a gross toilet, for example, or having an uncomfortable chair. Just small things that tick you off, that make you feel bad, just write them down. Like, nothing is too small. The last category is relationships. So what kind of relationships are you having and what is the nature of these relationships? Relationships actually tie very closely in with your environment, because your environment dictates the nature of the relationships that you will have. But let's limit relationships to specifically people and your feelings towards them and them towards you. So are you with a bunch of friends that you don't really like, but you're just hanging out because you've already established that it was gonna be a clique, and then you're not actually happy, but then you don't want to be friendless and so you hang out around them? I've seen so many many people have this exact problem. They're just upset and they just bitch about each other behind each other's backs, and they're not really... Why? Also, your romantic relationships, it could be very straightforward, like if you've just experienced a breakup, or it could be much more subtle than that. That you are in like a dead-end relationship, or that you're constantly going through the same problems with that same person and you just feel like you're stuck, you're in a rut, like you don't know how to get out of it. It's very important to be very honest with yourself. No one else is gonna see this piece of paper, no one else is gonna see all of these problems that you're writing out, so just be very, very honest. Like if you are upset because like your partner likes to borrow money from you, if you're upset because your partner is violent with you, you have to write these things down. You can't just deny that these things exist. Familial relationships are another one. Are you constantly fighting with your siblings? Are you very lonely because you have a lack of relationship with your family? And finally, friends. You know, acquaintances, for example. Do you feel like you don't have friends? Do you feel like your close friends are very far away and all studying in different countries? Or do you maybe feel like you're not yourself when you're around different people in order to be friends with them? And it also makes you feel like all of your friendships aren't real because they're not really friends with you for who you are, they're just friends with who they think you are, which can also be a stressor. So once you're done sorting that out, acknowledge that those are external factors. External, right? So now you look introspectively and think about your internal factors that make you feel the way that you do. Now with internal factors, it's not as easy as to pinpoint problems that are external because you have to be even more brutally honest with yourself and you have to be very self-aware. Think about it in terms of your habits, your thoughts, your feelings, your outlook/goals in life. And most importantly, your personality. It ties in with your habits as well, so acknowledge your strengths and your weaknesses, like your biggest flaws. If you have a habit of coping with negative feelings by like stress eating, for example, then you have to acknowledge that this is how you currently cope. Also, your thoughts and your feelings, if you have a tendency to like overreact, if you have a tendency to be insensitive, if you have a tendency to be rude or blunt, there are parts of your personality that you just cannot change, but there are also bad habits that you have that you can definitely change. Now once you're done with both your external and internal lists, it's time to look at them at a very objective light and to figure out what you can do to help yourself. First one is, can you accept it? Can you just acknowledge that this is what is happening and this is what will be happening for a while, and you have to just be like okay with it, embrace it. For example, your body weight. Can you acknowledge and be okay with the fact that this is just how your body is meant to be? Instead of looking at models or a certain ideal that you want and being upset that you cannot achieve it, is it just better to understand and to love yourself for who you are and celebrate what you have instead? Because that will make life a lot easier. And I know it sounds lame and cliche and easy to say that, and I know it's not easy. It's honestly taken me a couple of years, but I'm at this point in life where I realize and I acknowledge that my body type is different from someone else's and that I cannot be their body type. So while certain clothes look good on them, they don't look as good on me, so I dress to fit my shape and my size better. It's a better way to process these flaws that I think of myself rather than to find ways to change it and to stress myself out when I cannot change it. The alternative, which is what I am a fan of, is to change it. If you don't like something, if you feel like something is always gonna bug you and there's no way you can accept it, I'm just the kind of person that's very stubborn. Like, I like things my specific way, and so I like to change things when I don't like them. So if you are in a physical space that you're not happy with, if your room is messy and there's too much stuff, that was totally how I felt, change it. You know, switch things up, move the furniture around in your room, clean it up, you know, buy stuff that you like, small things to make yourself feel happy. That goes such a long way in making you feel better about yourself. Like, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people would rather just be upset or just be like and just not do anything about it. If you're studying something that you don't want to be really studying, can you suck it up and finish it and then pursue what you really want? Or if you really can't, then just pull yourself out of it. Like, change course, do something else. There's no point in putting yourself in a position where you constantly dread being in, because that's just not gonna make you, it's not gonna get better. If you are in a toxic relationship, for example, if you are constantly having frenemies and you're having like a very toxic relationship, just bring yourself out of it. You don't have to do anything drastic. You don't have to be like, fuck you, like, and like leave in a very dramatic way. Cut down the amount of interaction that you have with them. So you're getting to the point of the detox stage, you have to cut out bad habits, bad things that are happening, and also bad people, toxic people. I've had my share of toxic people. I've had people who make me feel really horrible about how I am, people that don't understand where I'm coming from, people that want to know what's going on with me just so they can use it as material to gossip. I think all of us, to a certain extent, no matter how much you may deny it, we're all afraid of being lonely. Not alone, but lonely. And I think because of that, we put ourselves in situations where we don't really want to be just so we don't feel lonely. Toxic people come in a variety. Are they always enabling you to do bad habits? Are they always encouraging you to spend money when it's not necessary? Are they like encouraging you to skip class and do this and do that? Are they always abusive but then they say it like a joke but then you know they mean it somehow? Do they only ever talk about themselves and they never really ask about you? They don't really care what's going on in your life? There are so many toxic relationships that don't boil down to like a true connection between two people. Even for relationships, for example, like are you only with someone because you feel like it's gonna be so awkward if you break up and like your friends are gonna have to figure out who to side with, or you just feel like it would be better than being alone, that you feel like no one else is gonna love you, he is the only one, she is the only one. That kind of toxic relationship, girl, please get out of it. Like, oh my god. If they are making you feel bad, the first thing you should do is to step away from these people. There's no point in pretending to be friends with them. Why? Why? If they make you feel bad, my primary school teacher once said this, if they don't make you a better person or like a better student, I mean she said it in like a primary school context lah, so if you have friends that don't make you a better person, then don't be friends with them, because then they bring out a bad side of you. They bring out anger and hatred and sadness and gossip in you. Do you know what I mean? And you do not need that, girl. Like, do you know how much more free time I have to do the things that I like instead of hanging around people that I don't even like? It's also very important to realize that toxic relationships don't stem from toxic people. It might just be the way you guys are interpreting each other and like how y'all function as people. We are all different. We all process things different. We all see things different. A lot of problems come from like intention versus impact. I'm also not saying get rid of everyone that you feel like doesn't make you feel happy. If you feel like the relationship or the friendship or whatever is worth saving, that you value them in your life, then be sincere and be brave enough to have a conversation with them and tell them what you're feeling. If they feel unapologetic and they don't care about your feelings, then good. You know that you tried, so just step away, be graceful about it. But for the most part, if you guys are truly friends and if you guys really want the best for each other, when you have these talks, then you can understand where the other person is coming from and how to not let these things happen, like how to not make each other feel bad. Because most of the time, toxic relationships, both parties feel kind of shit. For example, me and this friend now, we're very close now, and we used to be close in secondary school, but we kind of like fell out for a while and then we didn't speak to each other for like a couple of years, and then now we're friends again. And I very recently asked her why we fell out. From my perspective, we were all studying together, we were all in the library, and we were all trying to, you know, get our O-levels out of the way, okay, studying, and I just like was so anxious and upset and depressed, and I just couldn't get that out of my head. And the one time I decided to be vulnerable and actually say what I was feeling, I said it, and the whole table like kept quiet and didn't know how to respond to me. Everyone ignored me. They just like continued doing their own stuff like it didn't happen. And after that, the whole group stopped inviting me to the study sessions, and I felt like I was alienated from my own friend group, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I am rock bottom. Like I really sincerely, I think, yeah, I still feel that way. I still feel like that point I was like at ground zero. Like I felt like the worst I've ever felt in my life, and I couldn't believe that someone that I was this close to had just honestly shut me out like that when I needed her the most. I resented her for it. I resented the fact that she was probably talking about me after or before. You know how like people look at each other and you know that they have been talking about you? That's one of like the worst feelings that I get. Like I really hate that look. A couple of years, you know, you just like don't feel anything anymore, and we became friends, and I finally asked her why she did that and what was going through her mind when she was doing it, and she told me something that I now completely understand. She said that hanging out with me was very tiring because I was always so depressed and I was always so anxious and I had such bad vibes around me. It was near O-levels, right? Like, she was stressed and she wanted to get her own stuff out of the way, and they were having like a study session. It was fun, like they were having, you know, their own thing. And then there's me, 16-year-old Brenda, being like suicidal and sad and angry and frustrated and not knowing how to voice out these things. And so like when I said it, it was an inappropriate time and she just like, oh my god, I cannot deal with this. It felt like it was always like that with me. And now I get it. Now I get it because now I see how other people are. People that are depressed and angry and frustrated and really sad, that don't want to help themselves, and I know how frustrating it is to try and get them out of that zone and they just don't want to be. Like, they wallow in self-pity and like being the victim and blaming everyone else but themselves, and that was kind of how I was when I was 16. I felt like the whole world was against me and I didn't know how to cope with it in a healthy manner. So now I understand why she pulled away. And this just goes to show you how like a toxic relationship can stem from two people that don't mean to be toxic, that don't mean to be hateful or mean to each other, even though like we mutually have hurt each other. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so that was a very long example, kind of like a story time in between. It's very natural to have a bias towards yourself. Very easy to just justify your actions and justify your feelings because of what other people are putting on you and what you believe is right. But it's also important to be self-aware enough to realize that your actions and what you do and what you put out into the world might be just as toxic as what someone else is putting onto you. So if you are the kind of person that constantly complains about different people or different things or stuff that you have to do, these problems that you see or these problems that you have with other people most likely stem from like an insecurity or like an unhappiness about yourself. And don't be angry at me for saying this, okay? Just acknowledge that this is a bad habit that you're doing. It's not you. Like, it's very important to not put your ego into everything that you do, because then it's very difficult to change and to admit when you are wrong, because then you like literally undermine your entire identity and what you stand for. By being self-aware, you're really helping yourself understand why you're having these problems and how you can fix them. So instead of doing that and finding entertainment from poking fun or like talking shit about someone else, focus on yourself and focus on what makes you feel happy. I also know that changing things aren't as easy as I say they are. If you are younger, if you are in school and you don't have financial independence, if your parents don't allow you to do certain things, if you feel like you're constantly being trapped, just hold on. The older you are, the more control you get over certain things and the better you'll get at controlling your environments. So press on and decide to either stay, leave, or change them. It's very easy to put your blame on certain things externally that are happening that you feel that are out of control, but at the end of the day, it's how you feel about it and how you react to it and how you respond to it that makes you feel the way that you do. I'm not here to invalidate you of your feelings and say that you're not allowed to feel sad, but that shouldn't be the end. Bad things are always gonna happen, haters are always gonna be there, you cannot please the world. So accept the parts of you that you cannot change. I am goofy, I am weird, I do things differently from people. I've always done things weird, like I do things in my own way, and sometimes people like don't understand it and they don't like what they don't understand, so sometimes I get shit for it, but that is just how I am. I'm not being malicious, I'm not being hateful when I do these things, and so I accept that these are parts of me that I don't have to change. Other parts of myself that are not pertaining to my personality, maybe flaws for example, bad habits for example. I am very quick to anger, I'm very impatient. These aspects of myself, they aren't easy to change either, but they are possible and they will make me a better person. This is gonna sound really cliche, you've probably heard this 1,000 times, but happiness starts with you. Your road to recovery and self-acceptance starts with you. So once you're done with being honest with yourself, now what you want to do is reprogram and like reset your mind to be positive and to look forward to things getting better. The trick is to just really try, is to just really believe that things will get better and to look forward to each day with the intention of getting better. There's no point in waking up and being like, fuck, it's another day, I just pray I get through it, I probably won't, whatever, I hate life, blah. Instead, wake up and be like, okay, this is a brand new day. If you have something you're not looking forward to, look forward to the end of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to program your mind to think of the positive things instead of just pointing out what's negative. I know a lot of people that don't know what they like and don't know what makes them happy. I call bullshit. I think you just think too much about the negative and you don't really realize what makes you happy. So let's think about what could possibly make you happy. All of these things that make you feel sad, there must be a silver lining to them. There must be some things that make you feel happy. It could be literally anything. It could be food. Like, okay, you hate your class, but the food in the canteen is bloody good. It's a way to really reprogram your head for the positive things instead of the negatives so that you don't focus so much more on the negatives. When you feel like your brain automatically goes into like a negative mood, then you know that it's a habit that your brain is doing. Do you know what I mean? On Instagram, if you are like constantly following people that you don't even like or you don't even know that make you feel bad or sad or like crappy about yourself, unfollow. Just unfollow. It's not a malicious, bad, hateful thing to unfollow someone. You know, at this point in my life, like all my Instagram are just like vintage stores, art stores. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just like looking at pretty things and things that make me happy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Other small things that I like to do to ensure that my day goes well is to play music. I have a playlist on Spotify that's called Feel Good, and I'm gonna link it down below in case you guys need like a platform. But this is just a playlist of music that always makes me happy. Like, no matter what stage I am, like no matter where I am, I listen to them, I'm in a good mood. So I play that when I'm getting ready, I play that when I'm on the commute. Speaking of getting ready, I also set aside a certain amount of time to get ready. I know that that sounds very superficial, but when you look good, it's very difficult to feel bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you look like $1,000,000, you're like, yeah, I can conquer the world. So that's very important. If you invest time and care into yourself, it's very difficult to be unhappy with how you are because you know that you put a certain amount of time into making yourself feel good. Getting a perfume, for example, that you really love the smell of and spritzing a little bit of it every day. I don't care if you're in school or what, just like a small little bit on the wrist, on your like neck. Just remember that your reality is your reality, that there's no one objective way to look at things. So if you put yourself in a good mood every day, and if you believe that you are in a good state of mind, if you are healthy, ready to take on the world, the way you look and perceive things will be different. Keep your mind pure, focus on bringing yourself up rather than pulling people down. And this is the most important thing I have learned. Don't sweat the small stuff. You are human. You're always gonna make mistakes. You're always gonna do stupid things and like literally 5 minutes you'll be like, hey, why did I do that? That was like kind of lame, that was kind of weird. Oh. But don't beat yourself up over it. We tend to put so much stress on ourselves that we find it difficult to move on from mistakes that we've made. Actually, not even mistakes, just problems that we're going through. Like, for example, when I was in New York, I was seeing this one guy who gave me a lot of mixed signals, and I didn't really like him at first, but because he sent me so many mixed signals, like, I felt like maybe I liked him as well. Actually, I didn't. But I was talking to my friend and I was like, dude, I don't know if he likes me. Like, I don't know why he's doing this. He's giving me such weird signals. My friend, Jo, she's the best, I love her. She listened to me for like 5 minutes and then she was like, dude, why are you stressing out? Like, don't make no man make you feel this way. Like, that's just, She made me realize that I'm much more than just that boy problem. Literally right after she said that, I was like, yeah, actually, why am I stressing out about this? Like, this is so lame, like, this is so stupid. I shouldn't feel bad about it. If he's giving me mixed signals, then he needs to sort his life out. He doesn't know what he wants, and I should have enough self-worth to realize that I am dope. Okay? If he doesn't want to be with me, if he is like making me weird, feel weird, then I should just cut him off because I do not deserve to feel this way. And that I would rather be by myself than get played. It just really all boils down to like your self-worth and knowing that you are worth a lot more than the way that people are treating you, because some people just like treat people like shit. Some people just think other people are disposable. That is just how life is. If you're not at that stage yet, and if you don't truly believe that you are worth someone else's time, that's okay. Remember that this is a feeling that you're feeling now, and this is not really who you are. If you don't genuinely feel like you deserve good things in your life, give yourself a break. Give yourself some time to really process things and to really understand that you are special, to learn what it takes to love yourself for who you are. In the wise words of RuPaul, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? So after 30 minutes of me rambling, you still don't really know how to approach life and how to be happy, just follow Immanuel Kant's 3 rules of happiness. something to do, someone to love, and something to hope for. So something to do, occupy yourself, improve yourself, do things that you like, stay out of doing things that you don't like. Someone to love, you don't have to love someone romantically in order to love someone. You can love your family, you can love your friends, you can love someone that is doing something good out there and try and emulate what they're doing. Having love in your heart just automatically brings you a lot of happiness because there's a lot of positive feelings and a lot of like admiration and affection and something to hope for. It can be a vacation, it can be the end of something bad, it can even be what you want in life. Freedom, liberation, whatever it is, as long as you have something to look forward to, then you can work your days towards, and it'll be a lot easier to get by and even fully live. When I was feeling really low and like at the worst point in my life, like I mentioned in secondary school, like I felt like I honestly didn't have anything to live for. I was not in control of my life at all. The one thing that brought me out was music. I started singing, I started playing with my friends, learning musical instruments. That was how I got out of that funk. Right now I'm doing better than ever because constantly I am fighting with myself. Constantly I'm fighting with my brain that has the propensity to be very negative and to be very angry and critical. I've kept myself very busy with things that I love and people that I care about and places that I love, and I look forward to a lot of different things, and I have a lot going on in my life. But that doesn't stop me from feeling like it's not enough, from feeling bad, from feeling sad and angry, which is exactly what I'm feeling now. But it's also important to realize that everyone goes through days like this. I go through days like this. And for me, it's important to acknowledge that this is one bad day in the span of many good days, and that I can reset and reprogram myself and to look forward to better days ahead. Self-care is not selfish. And like I said, it always begins with you. I'm not sitting here and being like, oh, if you do all of this, like all of your self-doubt and all of your pain will go away. That's not true. But it gets easier and easier as time goes by to cope with them and to live knowing that this is how you are and this is how your brain works, and that this is what you have to do in order to live your best life. I mean, after saying all of this, right, and making it sound really simple by having like a system slash contingency plan slash guide, I cannot pretend to know exactly what you're going through. I also cannot equate your feelings to mine. I cannot equate your personality to mine. I am just the kind of person that will tank and just go through with it, and I know that not everyone can do that. So if you feel like you really cannot do this, that you cannot pull yourself out of this, that you are so tired and that you are hopeless, then please seek help. Let someone know that you really cannot deal with this. If you need certain changes in your life that you feel are non-negotiable, therapy is always an option, counseling is always an option, medication is also an option if you need to. Don't deny yourself of the help because you feel like you don't deserve it, because everyone does. I have a lot of faith in you, okay? I love you so much. Okay, I'm gonna end this video now. I've been sitting here, literally the sun has set. I hope you appreciate the realness that's been going on. Honestly, people really don't talk about it, and it's very easy to just ignore what's going on and just continue and pretend that there's nothing wrong, but then you won't be actually happy, you know, and it's gonna be like very depressing and very sad, and you're gonna feel like your life is meaningless, which like really sucks. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you feel better. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to click the thumbs up so that I know that it's helpful, and also share with your friends if you feel like someone else in your life needs it. And I will talk to you guys really soon. Feel free to also subscribe. I don't know how to end this video now. I feel like I'm just gonna... Okay, bye bye!